Will you allow me to talk about what we had a dialogue the other day with the students. May I go into that? May I? Will you? You don't mind? Right. Several of the students asked, that we should talk about fear. Fear of the future, facing the monstrous world when they leave here, or fear of the past, and fear that exists now. Most of them felt, if I may repeat what they said, and I hope they don't mind, most of them said they were not afraid of Brockwood, at least for the present. And we went into the question of fear a little bit, and we shall go on further. But out of that conversation, the one thing that came out was that most people are hurt, especially when one is young. Hurt by their parents, by their fellow students or friends. And the principal fear, it seems to me, was not to get hurt. And whether it was possible at all to be free of any form of hurt. All through life, not just while they are here, but right through all their days and nights and years, never to get hurt. We talked a great deal about that. What, if one is hurt, what takes place? Resistance, withdrawal, isolation, and therefore more hurts, and so on. And when one is deeply hurt, the reaction is violence, hatred, anger, frustration, and so on. So we talked about whether it was possible at all to be free completely of never being able to be hurt. Now, can we, this morning here, go into that question, the staff and ourselves together, go into this question. While the students are here, is it possible for us who are somewhat responsible for them to see or help them not to get hurt? One gets hurt when one compares what one is with another. Or when the older people, older generation compare A against B. And therefore there is that hurt. Is it possible to avoid every form of comparison? In our studies, in our report, in our studies, is it possible not to compare one student against the other? Are you interested in all this? So that when you leave here, you'll have understood the whole meaning of being heard, what it implies, and to be free of the picture that you have about yourself which gets hurt. And one of the factors of this hurt is comparison. Comparing yourself with another. You are not so beautiful as the other, or not so intelligent, or having the capacity, this constant comparison, which inevitably takes place in all schools, unfortunately. So can we prevent that taking place here at Brockwood? This is a dialogue, please. We explained the other day what a dialogue was. A conversation between two friends about a subject in which both of them are deeply interested. And can we discuss this thing? Is it possible to prevent, while they are here, in their studies, in their play, while they eat, and all the rest of it during the day, and the activities of the day, to see that the process of making a picture about oneself and getting hurt because one has a picture about oneself. Now, is that possible here? Because to have a mind, a brain that has never been hurt, I don't know if we understand the importance of it. Never been hurt. Then it is healthy, sane. There are no neurotic thoughts, no neurotic activities. It's totally healthy, clean. You understand? Young. And can this be brought about through our education here? Please, let's talk about it together. If I have a picture about myself that I'm rather silly, that I'm not as beautiful as you are, that I'm not as clever as someone, that I have not capacity. So that picture gets strengthened by various incidents, by certain quick response from others. Or you may think, I'm very beautiful, I'm very clever, I'm an extraordinary person. And when that picture is challenged, then there is that hurt also. Now, can all this process be stopped? Not to have a picture about oneself, which is extremely important, and to go into it is very, very demands great deal of attention and inquiry. Can this be brought about at Brockwood? Apart from our curricular academic life, or through the academic life, bring also this fact into being. Can we do this together as a community living here at Brockwood? a small group, to find out whether it is possible not to get hurt and not to have a picture about oneself, which will inevitably get hurt through life. After all, that is one of the reasons for the existence of Brockwood, to bring about a different human being. Will you please?
When I was a student, 15 and 16 years old, the school that I was in used competition. All the staff members, in fact the whole school system, used competition to get more work out of the students.
I know.
Grades were very important. A, B, C, D, comparative grades.
I know all
Gold
this.
stars were given. There were beauty contests to decide who was the most beautiful girl, the most handsome boy. All the sports teams would play against the...
And everything around us is competitive. Our whole society and education is structured on that. I think we're all quite familiar with that. Our whole social life and religious life and everything is competition. The local priest wants to become the bishop wants to become the archbishop, and the archbishop or the cardinal or the pope, and the same thing in business world, same thing in school, colleges. We know all this. Can we prevent this here? And yet bring about a good mind, a clear mind, a mind that thinks clearly. Is a mind that's educated, not merely academically, but deeply educated, so that it is innately intelligent. Is this possible here?
Could we go into why we compete?
Hmm?
Could we go into why we compete?
Why?
Why do we compete with each other? What is this pleasure?
That's part of our tradition, part of our habit, part of our education. The family, in the family, they say you're not as good as your brother. The whole thing. Why do we do it? Probably because one of it is habit, tradition, and the whole world works on this principle of competition. You're better than I am, you have more money, the whole thing is based on this.
Speaking as a teacher, it is easy to get more work out of students by...
Wait, let's find out, do you get more work out of the student? Do you see what twist you? Will make you work, so more work for you. Is there not a different way of helping the student to work, to learn, isn't it? To learn about himself, about mathematics, about the world, to learn. Learning is not competition. It isn't I know more than you do. I may. But learning, I don't know if learning is never competitive. Huh? Am I saying something revolutionary or stupid? I want to learn. No, I won't say that. Let's find out what learning is first, right? Shall we start with that? Students and most of us are here to learn, right? What does it mean to learn? the quality of learning, not learning about something. You understand? Learning and learning about something are two different things, aren't they? No? Oh, come on. As we said the other day when we were talking with the students, there's fear of something or fear about something and fear by itself. Are there two different things? Fear by itself and fear about something. Or there is no such thing as fear by itself, but only fear about something. Now, what do we mean by learning? Please, go with me a little bit, will you? What does it mean to learn? What is the act of learning? As far as we see in one direction, it is gathering information about various subjects, mathematics, geography, history, archaeology, physics, about something, and storing up in what you have learned in the brain, right? Right? You learn mathematics from somebody and learn in order to acquire all that the educator teaches and store it up in the brain so that you can use it later in life. If you become an engineer, a physicist, a businessman, you need to learn about mathematics, so you store it up, right? Right? Do please say yes or no. Agree, go into it with me. Then that is, you store it up, use it as skillfully, as carefully as your capacity when you are doing a job, right? As a secretary or as a businessman, as a foreman, as a worker, doesn't matter what, professor. So, you use what you have acquired about physics skillfully through life, right? Right? That's one way, that's what we use all the time. Learn, store it up, and act, right? You follow this? That makes the mind mechanical, doesn't it? The brain mechanical. I have acquired how to drive a car. I've learned how to drive a car, and after driving several years, it becomes automatic. So, that kind of learning makes the brain mechanical, right? I wonder if you see this.
That part of the brain which is mechanical can store that sort of information, rather than that sort of storing makes the brain mechanical.
No, that kind of storing makes the mind mechanical. And that is, in certain area, that is necessary. When I drive a car, when I learn a language, anything, there, technologically, certain mechanical responses are necessary. That's one kind of learning, isn't it? Storing up information and using that information in life. That's one kind of learning. Now, is there another kind of learning which is totally non-mechanical? You understand what I'm talking about? Please, do pay little attention, will you? We said there is this kind of mechanical learning, right? I'm asking, is there another kind of learning which is non-mechanistic? Which is all the time learning, therefore never storing up. I wonder if it's very difficult to convey this verbally, but we're going to do this. We understand the mechanical process of learning, utilizing it throughout life. That's mechanistic, we know that. And that mechanistic responses are necessary. That's clear. Now I'm asking, is there a non-mechanistic learning or way of living? Do you understand what have you understood the question I'm asking? Huh?
So the eagerness to investigate into matters, would you consider that as mechanical?
No, Tunki, look, Tunki, I'm glad you're here. We're all friends. We've been at this for years. Look, you understand, Tunki, what we say, mechanistic way of learning? That's clear, isn't it? You learn about aeroplane, how to build it, and it becomes almost mechanical. You can go on with it, improve it more and more and more, but it's still mechanical. And we reduce that way the whole of life as a mechanical process, right? I go to the office every day for the next 50 years and earn money. All that is a mechanistic process of living. I believe in God or don't believe in God. I have ideals. It's all mechanistic. So thought is mechanistic, right? So I'm asking, is there a way of living which is not mechanistic? Though in certain areas it has to be mechanical. You understood my question? Huh? Now find out, is there a way of living which is non-repetitive?
What's wrong with the mechanical way of thinking?
What is wrong with that makes our whole life a routine, a repetitive thing, therefore a boring thing. Therefore, to escape from the boring thing, we do another mechanistic processes. It's not wrong. We are saying a mechanistic way of living we know very well. Our whole life, apparently, for centuries upon centuries, has been mechanistic. Someone comes along, like you, for example, says to me, look, is there a different non-mechanistic way of looking at life and living it? You understand my question? That's all. I don't say that's wrong. On the contrary, in the technological area, mechanical responses are necessary. That's understood. Let's forget that. So what is learning which is not mechanistic? I wonder, Does this interest you? Or you're just bored, or you're captive audience. You know what a captive audience is? An audience, you have to be here at 11 o'clock, 11:30. Therefore, you have to listen. You're forced to listen. Are you in that position? Huh? No, thank God. At least you say no, but the rest may say, oh, I daren't say what I really feel. So I want to find out whether there is a way of living which isn't merely repetitive, constantly going through the same routine, same way of living, same way of thinking. You follow? And that may be the most intelligent way of living. How am I? What do you say, sirs? What do you say, Mr. Joe? Come on. Discuss with me for the benefit of the others.
Well, how are we going to approach that question? I mean, if we approach it, if we just ask
I
that
would
question.
say, let's approach it. First, be very clear that the mechanistic way of living is necessary in certain areas, right? Is necessary in certain areas, right? And let's go back to it again. Say, do you mean this? There it's absolutely necessary. And if my brain is mechanistic all the time, responding mechanistically, then it gets terribly boring. And because it gets boring, I try to escape from that by various illusory, non-reasoned way of behavior. Right? Amusements of various kinds, beliefs of various kinds. I live in illusion. Right? So as I recognize that to live non-mechanistically is to live a totally different kind of way of life. Right? Now, how am I to approach this whole problem? That's your question, right? Right, sir?
You also are suggesting that there are areas of life in which we could see that the mechanistic approach is going to lead to trouble.
Yes.
If we could see that more clearly.
I understand. Don't you see that very clearly, all of you? That a mechanistic way of living leads to a great deal of trouble?
Perhaps we don't see the two areas where the division is between what falls into one area and what falls into another.
Wait a minute. No, first we'll put the question. We'll answer first question, which is, do we all see a mechanistic way of living leads to a great deal of trouble? In life.
You just said that in certain areas...
Wait, I know. No, I'm answering Mr. Joe's question, which is, he says, do we all see clearly that the mechanistic way of living leads to a great deal of trouble? Great danger, in fact. Which is, mechanistic way of living is to accept tradition, right? Like war is a tradition, nationalism is a tradition, romantic tradition, and so on. All that leads to great danger. Do we see that? That's his first question.
Perhaps clear to us all that it is dangerous, but if you said if I'm driving a car, it is not dangerous to act more or less mechanically.
No, we made that very clear.
Perhaps she also means, well, if I am in a class learning mathematics, do I have to learn it mechanically?
No. Have you understood Mr. Joe's question? Which is, he asks, do we all recognize that though there are certain areas where technological, mechanistic responses are necessary, do we recognize that the way we live mechanically is the most dangerous way of living? Right?
Especially, as we often discuss here, when we try to mechanically take care of the relationship between people.
That's right. So, Lord, we must go into all that.
I think so, yeah.
Can we put the question differently? Is love mechanistic? That's too difficult. No, that's, yeah.
You'd have to ask what love is in that case. I'm going to
Do you see my difficulty? See, I've got a problem. My problem is, I recognize very clearly certain areas of one's life need to be mechanistic. Driving a car, learning a language, doing certain skills and so on, they're mechanistic. And is my relationship with you, with another, mechanistic?
I don't see why anything has to be mechanistic.
Huh?
I don't really see why anything has to be mechanistic. If you were living really rationally and attentively.
No, mechanistic in the sense, I learn a language, Italian or French. And I store that, it is stored up in the memory, and I can use it, it can be used well or not well. And the more I speak it, the better it becomes.
I don't see that as being mechanistic.
I call that mechanistic. May not be.
You can drive a car.
Huh?
But I don't think you can drive a car mechanistically.
I drive a car, but it's almost automatic, but there's certain, one has to aware a certain amount. It's not blind mechanical driving. Then you'll end up in a ditch.
I don't believe anything mechanistic. Even catching a train, cleaning your teeth. But we do,
What?
actually. But the fact is, we need that we're really attentive.
Must be really attentive to things that are physical
Are,
objects.
are you objecting to the word mechanical?
Yes.
All right, we'll take away that word. We'll use a different word. What word would you like to use? Huh? Habitual. Huh?
I don't know what it means.
Habitual? You have a habit, and keep on repeating that habit over and over and over and over again. I believe in something, and that becomes habitual.
To have a habit of doing something.
Habit of doing something, right?
You need to think of a habit.
So what word would you like to use to describe what we have been talking up to now? Not mechanical, you object to that. Habitual, you object to that. Then what other word? unaware.
I think the best way is that I don't seem to understand what you really mean by mechanistic, or which maybe
Gee
we are not,
Wilkins. Well, you don't
really
understand. That's what that's what we are examining. We are all saying, don't use that word mechanistic. Then I said, all right, I'll drop that word. Then somebody suggested, use the word habitual. All right, somebody else objects to that word.
Could we use the term like learned skill, as we're trying to investigate what learning is, and we're trying to draw a distinction between learning and that which is learned and applied? Could we call that which is learned and applied a learned skill?
All right, would you object to that? Learning a skill?
A learned skill.
Well, I think if you really are attentive to what you're doing, you don't learn quietly anything. You are learning about it.
But that's if, isn't it?
But to me, this difference aggravates the situation.
The difference is the fact that we're living here.
Do we want to learn about cleaning our teeth every day?
Well, why should you might do it really properly and well, instead of just sort of putting the toothbrush in your mouth saying that's done. But you might really think why you're cleaning your teeth and do it in a correct sort of way, and pay attention when you're doing it, that it's not mechanical.
Would you, Mrs. D, would you accept what Mr. Smith said, a word like learning is learning skill, not a skill, but learning skill? Would you object to that?
Isn't the difference that one is based on memory? Isn't the difference that what you call mechanistic is based on memory, which includes cleaning your teeth or
Yes.
learning mathematics?
All right. Anything based on memory is what? Habitual, mechanistic, what? Pattern, what?
We could give it the name mechanistic.
You see, I think Dorothy would agree with it. I think you would agree with this. If you're learning to ride a bicycle, it requires a coordination between hundreds of muscles, and there's a certain judgment to know what to do at any instant to keep from falling off the bicycle. But once you learn that, you don't have to learn it every time. You can then get on the bicycle and go. Once you learn how to do that, it's quite mechanical. You know exactly what to do to keep the bicycle going. You could then become creative by making turns and become very graceful. But if you never forget how to ride a bicycle, apparently, once you know how to ride. And so I think it's a proper use of the word mechanical in that. You don't learn it every time you get on a bicycle. But you use that and then go beyond it.
And
It
that's
becomes
somebody
part of
agrees.
you, and then
Would it help to consider, bring these two things together, instead of playing a musical instrument, you need a certain skill, you need practice. But if you just play mechanically, you play rather boringly.
Yes, there are two meanings of the word, which one is necessary and another one is slightly, it doesn't fit in with a real human. One is technique and the other one is dead. There's technique in one and it's dead in the other. And we have to differentiate the two parts. Like when you're riding a bike, it's technique. But if you say you're riding it mechanically, like if you're doing ballet, technique, you can do it mechanically. A lot of it comes mechanically in one sense. But if you say she's a mechanical dancer, it's an insult practically. We have to differentiate between those two meanings of the word. And I would say that habit is a very good word for what comes when you're riding a bicycle after you've learnt, because it is a habit, it's ingrained, it's the substratum, it's at the bottom, and you can build upon that. It's a sort of a foundation which you learn. And it's I wouldn't say it's mechanical in that sense of the word. If that helps.
Isn't it the attitude by which one do something is mechanical or not? What you're going
It's okay, he has carefully explained. Habit. All right, let's keep to that word habit, shall we? You agree and I will? We all agree?
Shaku's word was very good though too, of memory. But, I mean, it makes it very clear to say that it's memory.
Yes, but
because all habit comes out of memory.
Yes, I agree. Memory is necessary. Do we realize, I'll go back to Mr. Joe's question, do we realize we live in habits? Are you aware that you live a life, I daren't use any other word but habit now. Do you realize that? Your thinking is a habit, you follow? You may change the habit, but it's still habit forming.
You mean your reactions are habit?
Yes, your reactions are habit. Traditional, educated, mechanical, routine. I have ideals, if you have, and you keep on repeating, I have ideals, have ideals, have ideals. That is habitual, that's repetitive. Like the Catholics or Protestants, they say, I believe, I have faith, and keep on repeating that. So do we here as a group realize that we have great many both physical and psychological habits? Is that simple enough? Now, are you aware of your physical habits? Aware, no, conscious. See, observe that you have a particular habit physically. Scratching your head, biting nails, doing this, doing that. Are you aware of it? No. Now, to learn is to be aware of those habits, right? Right? Now, to learn, we said, is to be aware of the physical habits that one has. And also to learn psychologically about the psychological habits you have. Which is to compare yourself with somebody. That's a psychological habit. Are you aware of it? Do you compare yourself with somebody psychologically? Or do discuss this. Are you? Say, well, I would like to be like that person. That's a psychological habit, isn't it? In which you have been educated from childhood, which is habit, tradition, all the rest of it. Are you aware of that? And being aware, do you learn by watching it? By watching your psychological habit, you are learning about it, aren't you? No?
Seems to be a problem that in the watching of the habit, well, rather, one can't watch the habit as it is occurring, one can only see, that's something I constantly do or repetitively do.
No, I'll show you in a minute. I'll show you. In my relationship with you, I have a picture about you. And you have a picture about me. That picture making about you is a habit. And you have that same habit. So both of us have the same habit of picture making about each other. Now, one becomes aware of that, recognizes it, and learning how it is formed, why it is formed, and also whether it can be stopped. The learning about that is non-mechanistic, non-habitual. I wonder if I made this clear. I have known that person for many years. X. She may be my wife, my husband, my girl, boy, whatever. I've known that person for many years. The habit is to make a picture of her, right? As you do, don't you? You all do this. Make a picture of the person. Now, find out, learn why you make a picture of that person. You understand? Why? Learn about it. Don't repeat what you hear, but learn to find out. From observing why you make a picture, you learn. Why do you make a picture? No, Tunke, just listen. Why do you make a picture of a person with whom you have lived for many years? Why? Which you invariably do. Most people do. I'm asking you why.
You make pictures to anybody who has...
Yes, good enough. Why?
Let's say I lived with you for many years, and I'm very alert, and I noticed that you have certain habits. Every time we meet, you always say this. You always wear your clothes in the same way. So after a while, I begin to see 10 or 20 or 50 of your habits. And in a sense, that's what I mean when I say that I know you. Now, is that forming a picture of you, or is that...
Yes, that's forming a picture of me.
Let's say that it is your habit to do certain things.
You're watching my physical habits,
right,
and you have met me for a number of weeks, and you have an image of me doing those habits.
Right. Is that an image, or is that a recognition of what you are?
That's part of it. That recognition is a part of the image.
Let's change the word to seeing what you are. I mean, if that's what you are...
Yes, so use that word. Seeing what I am.
If I see what you are, a person that has those habits, is that an image, or is that a seeing, which is not an image?
If you see those habits and not conclude that it is K...
Well, I don't conclude that you always must have those habits, or I'm not concluding that there is something that lives inside your head that is that way, unchangeable and permanent, but nonetheless that because of your conditioning...
No, just a minute. You see me having number of habits.
Yes.
And you have a picture of me doing those habits. That's a conclusion. The picture is a conclusion. But if you don't conclude, there's no picture. You just see.
What in our relationship.
And that's what I'm coming to. That's what I'm... There are physical habits and psychological habits. In my relationship with you, I have made a picture of you and you have made a picture of me. That's a habit. Right? Right?
Of course that's a habit.
Wait, that's all I'm sticking. Now, I want to learn why these habits are formed.
But whenever you meet me, I mean, you always speak to me in English.
Because we both know English.
You know, but isn't it part of your picture of me, I'm asking,
No.
that you know that I don't speak
No.
any language besides
If
English?
you spoke French, perhaps better than me, we both exchange a few words in French.
If a person you never saw before comes into the room, you may not know what language to speak. I mean, if he's in England, you might try English.
But I would listen to him, what he's going to say.
But I mean, suppose that you have to speak first.
I said,
Try some language, right?
this is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, clever. I'm trying to. We always speak so that you always speak to me in English. So I'm suggesting that you do recognize, you do have some picture of me as an English-speaking.
No. Because you, both of us know English. I know English because you have understood English for the last 2 years. If we both of us spoke French, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about something. Just a minute, sir.
When you have a certain amount of information, we all have information about each other in varying degrees. It's when we then substitute that memory of that person for the actual person.
Yes, I'm coming to that, my lady. I'll just go slowly because the Lord Father, I just want to, sir, we are talking about learning, right? I want to learn why I make these pictures. In my relationship with you, why do I make pictures about you?
Well, in certain cases, they seem obviously helpful.
So, one of the reasons is that it's helpful. Right? Proceed. I want to learn why human beings do this.
Is it perhaps because I'm frightened and I feel I need somebody who will smile at me and make me feel at ease? So that's my image, somebody who's friendly towards me.
So you're frightened of what? Of not recognizing the person?
Yes.
I mean, look careful. I make a picture of my wife or a girl because I'm frightened if I don't recognize her next time, she might bang me on the head. Is that it?
I'm also making a picture of this room and people in front of me. I mean, it is something which you do it automatically.
Look, Tunke, I'm talking about relationship with a human being, not with all this. I am talking, look, you have a picture about your mother, haven't you? Your mother, your uncle, your friend. For God's sake, don't go.
I mean, anything I've experienced.
Yeah, I mean, you have a picture about somebody. Huh? Why do you have that? You understand my question?
Yeah, but you can have a picture of anybody, you wouldn't get to know them.
Yeah, if you said you know them, what are the reasons? Go into it.
So you can remember them when you're not with them.
Huh?
So you can remember them.
Yeah, that is to remember them. Go on. Further, learn about it. Go into it. You said to recognize them, to see, huh?
Talk about them.
to talk about them. Go on. Why do you make pictures of another?
It seems that if I make pictures of myself, so it would seem inevitable that I would make pictures of others.
Why do you make a picture about yourself? Go inquire, learn about it.
But being confronted with anything, a person or some shapeless object, that we consult our memory in order to deal with it, to find out what it is.
Now, wait a minute. Do you have a picture about me? Huh? Why?
Know what's your reaction might be.
Why do I'm asking you, why do you have a picture about this man sitting on a platform? Why? To recognize him?
Because our minds respond to information that's stored up in.
Please, why you're not answering my question?
Because when we see you do the same thing 2 or 3 times, then we want to depend on you to continue to do the same thing for us.
Is that it? You want me to do all the thinking for you? Huh? Tunki dear, please, I am asking you a question, Tunki. You have a picture about me, haven't you?
Yes.
Why?
Well, I just have. I mean, it's the same as if I met somebody, I have a picture of that person.
Krishnamurti, are we talking about a picture or an image?
Both the same thing, picture, image, an idea, a conclusion.
But are you talking of a visual picture or a psychological picture? I think that's not quite clear.
I'm talking about psychological picture.
I think that's not quite
I think that's clear, isn't it? Yeah, that's clear. Not that you have a picture of me, I'm sitting here, for God's sake. I'm not an illusion.
What means psychological picture? I mean, after you are not here, I still have the picture of you.
Yes, that's it. You have a picture of your uncle, haven't you? Who lives in Amsterdam? Don't take our house over it.
Yeah, I can recall it back.
You can recall, but there is an image, there is a picture, a symbol of your uncle in Amsterdam.
It goes with a conclusion that...
A conclusion, eh? So like, all right, a picture, an image, a symbol, a conclusion, an idea.
What if somebody were to ask you if you had a picture of his uncle?
Huh?
I mean, I don't have a picture of his uncle.
Of course not.
I'm very clear on that.
Of course not.
But do you have a picture of his uncle? Some picture of his uncle?
No.
But sir, you just remembered that he had an uncle in Amsterdam.
I think we have to get it clear. I mean, it doesn't seem to me to be a harmful thing.
We never said it's harmful or good or bad, but I'm just asking why we make pictures. What's the cause of it? Why we maintain it? And is there a necessity for it? And what would happen if there was no picture? And I want to learn about all this. You go round and round. Not you, sir, but others. We all do.
Between memory or a conclusion and a psychological image of a person, which
I am talking about, made it very clear, I am talking about psychological memory, psychological picture, psychological conclusion, a symbol, an idea. My uncle is that. My wife is that.
that you had, it's a very small part, but a mechanistic memory that Tunki has an uncle in Amsterdam, but there is no psychological memory, which would be a psychological image of his uncle.
I am talking of psychological memory.
Yes, but I think this is the point that is...
Well, I think it's all, now it's clear. Is it? It's psychological picture I have about my wife, uncle, brother, sister, father, grandmother, etc., etc. Picture. And I say to myself, why do I make a picture?
Well, if I have a picture of things or people, then I know how to deal with them.
That's it. That is, I have a picture of my uncle because I know how to deal with that, with him. Is that it? I have a picture of my wife and know how to deal with her. Huh?
By psychology, is it something fixed, or does a psychological picture move?
It is moving, it's living, changing, I add, take away. It's just a permanent picture of Picasso which I hung up on the wall.
But anything you have experienced will become a psychological picture.
Look, Timke,
Wouldn't it?
you have a picture of the person with whom you dealt with in Indonesia, haven't you? Huh? Why do you have that picture? Why do you have that picture of that person with whom you have been dealing with in Indonesia? Why? Because he's hurt you? Because he cheated you? Because he's been angry with you? Or he's flattered you? Or he's asked money from you? Why? What is the reason of this picture you have?
Isn't that the way the brain works?
Huh?
Isn't that the way the brain works?
Brain?
Works.
Yes, I'm asking, that's brain work. Why does it work that way? I'm asking you.
That's the question we don't know. I mean, nobody knows it.
Well, isn't it fed in, to pick up Dan's earlier point, that the image I have of another is in contrast to the image of myself I have of myself, which is fed
All
into
right,
me.
make it much simpler. Why do you have a picture about yourself? A conclusion, an idea, a symbol, an image. Why do you have it about yourself? Well, go into it, Philip. Go into much deeper. One of the reasons we know, I recognize you, it's convenient. I can't each time be introduced to you as Mr. Philip. I would be rather nutty. So I said, why do I, apart from that, have pictures about myself? You have a picture about yourself, haven't you? Huh? Right? Oh, come on. Why?
Is it because I'm trying to protect something?
I'm asking, is that the reason you have to protect yourself? Against who? Other images?
It's a rather a tribal thing in a sense. My tribe is, for instance, a Protestant tribe, an English tribe, a Northern English tribe, a such and such, and each of us
Is that
has
the
a tribe.
reason that it gives you strength when you recognize yourself belonging to something?
That's the vitality of it.
Yes, the vitality of it. That is, I have a picture about myself as a Hindu. God forbid I haven't got it. But if I have it, I do it because it's part of the tribal tradition, because I have identified with the tribe, or with the group, or with the nation. It gives certain strength, certain vitality. Right? Right? Is that the reason you're doing it? Huh? So that's part of it. Then what is the other part? Go on, investigate, explore. That is learning.
We also see some classification process. Like I say, I'm fat or I'm thin, and associate fatness with badness.
Wait, that's physical. That's physical, right? You're tall, you're brown, I'm fairly white, I'm brown, and it's a physical description, but we're not talking about that. We are talking about psychological picture I have about myself. Hmm?
But I think that's included.
Does it flow from the physical description to the psychological? That's what I'm learning. You follow? You have added something to my learning. That is, I have brought over my physical appearance, which is shown in a mirror or in the water, and say, I am that picture which I see in the mirror or in the water. Hmm? Wait, that's one thing, right? Then what else is there?
And then seeing it, one says, I want to change it, or I don't like it.
That's it. I want to change it because I have an image of you who are much more intelligent, much more beautiful, much, etc. So, I have a picture of myself which I have seen physically in the mirror or in the water, and I carry that image with me, my face, and I compare that picture which I have about myself with you who are taller, shorter, brighter, nobler, etc. And I say, I want to be like that, or I don't want to be like that. So there is comparative process going on. Hmm? Now, that is one of the basic reasons of getting hurt. That's my point. Because I'm trying to be like you, and if I'm not, I get hurt. Either in examination, the whole thing. So, why do I have a picture about myself? All right, I look at myself in the mirror or in the water, and I say, yes, that's enough. Why do I make a picture of myself? You understand? It's such a burden. It's simple. I see myself in the mirror and finish. But psychologically, the somatic process, that is the physical process, seeps into the psychological process. So, can that stop? If that stops, is there a psychological process going on? Apart from you follow what I'm asking? Do you follow? Yes. Huh? Don't nod your head unless you understand this. That is, you see yourself in the mirror, right? And you say, yes, that is me, Kate, or whatever name it is. And also you see your sister or your brother who is much brighter than you, much taller, much more beautiful, much more attractive, and you compete with him. Say, I wish I could be like him, right? And that's one of the reasons why you get hurt. Do you see that? So, that's one factor. And the other is, can you see yourself in the mirror, and yes, that's your face. Why do you want to compare?
You may not like what you see.
Why? You may not like what you see only because so obvious. Moment you say, I don't like what I see, you have already compared yourself with somebody, and therefore you don't like what you see. And therefore you have the ground which is going to be hurt.
Then I'm saying one must be content with what one sees.
No, not content. It is so. Why do you want to be content or discontent?
See, now we go into, I think, into this very confused question of beauty. We look at some person and we say, oh, that is beauty.
I understand. I'm not questioning into beauty. Beauty, one must discuss it. It takes. No, we haven't got time today. I would like to discuss beauty tremendously, but not today. I won't stick to this, if you don't mind. So, I'm asking you, you have a picture about yourself. You have seen your face in the water or in the mirror, a reflection of yourself, and from that reflection flows the psychological process of saying, I am not as tall or as beautiful as that. Right? When you compare yourself with that, with another, you have the area which is going to be hurt. Do you see that? Huh? I've got to explain to you. Unless you understand this, basically, you're going to be hurt. I compare myself with you. You are blonde, nice, tall, people like blondes, and everybody. You look nice, you look clear, clean. And I am brown, dirty, ugly, and I say, I'd like to be like you, right? Now, I've already opened the door to getting hurt. Do you see that? Huh? So, one of the reasons of getting hurt is comparing, right? Can you learn about comparing and what it does? And therefore stop comparing. You get the point? Do you understand this? Never to compare. Oh, well. So, the other factor is, I must stop at 10 to 1, right? Another 10 minutes will stop, or 5 minutes. I'm asking you, why do you make a picture of yourself? You say, I make a picture of myself. It's one of the habits of belonging to a tribe, to a nation. Nation is a glorified tribe. So I belong to that. That gives me strength. Right? Right? You understand that? When you say, I'm an American, America is very strong as a nation, powerful, affluent, rich, and that gives you a sense of importance. If you call yourself a poor little village man living in India, you're nobody. You follow what I'm saying? So, making an image about yourself gives you certain vitality and strength. Right? Have you noticed this?
You can do the opposite though, sir. You can have an image of yourself that you're incompetent, that you're stupid, that you can have an image that doesn't give you vitality and strength, but sort of saps your energies.
I don't quite follow you.
You can have an image that you're not a competent person, that you're stupid, that you can't learn things, that people don't like you.
That's another form. People don't like you, you're ugly, you're this, you're that. That's the reverse of the other.
But you were saying that an image gives you vitality, and I'm saying sometimes it may give you inertia.
Yes. I may call myself, because I've compared myself with you, I call myself dull. I call myself stupid. But if I don't compare, there's some other motion activity goes on. I wish you could understand this. Huh? Look, I don't know how to explain more of this. Do you understand this, sir? Please explain it a little bit. Not verbally, but actually feeling it, a reality, the truth of it. So that you must never compare yourself with anybody.
When I'm not paying attention.
Now, have you got a picture of yourself? And do you compare yourself with somebody? Huh? Why? When you know the danger of it, when you know that when you compare yourself with another, you're going to get terribly hurt for the rest of your life. And that is one of the reasons of great fear. And to be free of fear, don't compare. See the fact of it.
It seems the image gets to be very dangerous when we no longer see it as an image anymore.
That just,
we say,
that just,
I am that.
yeah, that just.
Then we don't look at it again.
That's right.
So I think the learning part, what we can do here as learning, is to learn to look.
Look at yourself.
Look at what we think we are.
No, what is actual, not what you would like.
Or not even what you think is a fact.
Yes, yes. To see yourself exactly as it is. Wait a minute. I compare myself with you, who are very clever, who can express beautifully, talk excellently. I compare myself with you and say, by Jove, I am dull. You understand? Now, am I dull if I don't compare? Then what am I? No, you, my Lord, do look at it. You compare yourself with somebody, and so make yourself feel dull. If you don't compare, what takes place? Huh?
What is left?
What is left?
What you actually are. What you actually are.
What are you? Push it, find out, don't. That's what is, learn about it.
The danger comes when we give psychological significance to difference. I can say, I'm older than most people in this room. That's a comparison. But it can have, I can say, my God, how awful, or it can be just a fact. Isn't it the psychological use that we make of differences?
Look, Maria, Mrs. Maria, whatever. Look, please stick to one thing. You're going far too much ahead. The little things I want them to understand first, which is, don't compare, for God's sake, ever. Because that you open the door to great misery.
You have to be very aware of what you are doing, because you might neglect yourself if you don't want to do anymore.
I'm asking you, I compare myself with you. You are bright, beautiful, everything, beauty, whatever it is, bright, and I am not. So I say, Bajo, how dull I am. Huh? Or somebody says, your brother is so much cleverer than you are. And that is, So, I have a picture about myself as being dull because I've compared myself, right? But what happens if I don't compare myself with you? What am I? What takes place in me? Huh?
The picture is gone.
Is that so with you? Or you just imagine the picture is gone? Are you getting tired? If I don't compare myself with you, then I am not dull. I don't know. I am something. I am. You follow? And I want to find out then why I have called myself dull, because I recognize I've compared. But if I don't compare, what takes place in my mind? That's what I want to learn. It's free, you say. Free from what? Or just free. Free from a burden, which I've carried all my life. I've listened to it carefully. That is, by comparing myself with you, I've called myself dull. And that has become a burden. Oh, I'm dull. Oh, for God's sake, I must struggle to be more clever, more this, more. But when I realize if I don't compare, I am free of a burden. Right? So, are there other burdens which I am carrying, which may be utterly useless? You're following? So I'm inquiring, I'm learning.
You could easily make a burden by saying, I am free.
I am. Of course. Of course, that's another form of stupidity. So is this clear this morning, something? Is something clear this morning? What do you say? Will you stop comparing? Or it's become such deep-rooted habit that you can't break away from it? You can only break away from it when you see that it's going to hurt you for the rest of your life, and therefore frightened. If you actually see that, you will never compare yourself with somebody else. Have you learned that this morning? Do tell me yes or no. You haven't, have you? No. I just stayed. So you go on comparing, do you? And sir, this is our education. We turn out students, human beings, who are going to be hurt for the rest of their life. I think we better stop. We'll continue this, may we?